Whether you're into it or not, the sports books tend to be right a lot of the time. The Yankees are now minus 800 favorites to win the American League East, which is nowhere close to where they were just about a month ago.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm one of your hosts, Stacey. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. With me, returning to be with me, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, did you enjoy Bruce?
Stacey, seeing Bruce Springsteen on the beach in Asbury Park was a cathartic, borderline religious experience. It was so incredible. We'll get to baseball, don't worry. But the feeling that you get seeing a guy where he started out like 50 years ago playing in the small clubs, now playing on the beach to 50,000 people, you can hear it in my voice. How it's one of those concerts that it doesn't even necessarily matter who you went with. You will talk about being at that show for the next 50, 60 years. I'm so happy that I went. Glad to be back with you all, but so happy that I missed one show.
Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you know when our videos go up. On today's show, we preview the series with the Mariners. Remember, it's all late games this week as they play the Mariners and the A's. We also discuss the flaws of the contenders who are heading to the playoffs. Interesting flaws that most teams have. And let's start by looking at the Yankees, because who owns the best record in the AL? The Yankees. Who's 3 games ahead of the Orioles in the AL East? Somehow, the Yankees. For all the complaining that we do about this team, they're right where we want them to be.
Well, that's the best point, right? For all the complaining that we have done over the last 4 months, they're in first place with 3-game lead. And if I told you in July or June they would have a 3-game lead midway through September, you would have signed for that. You would have punched me through the computer screen, because you would never believe the thing that I was saying. Somehow they're 3 games up. Baltimore is seemingly giving the division away. I mean, Baltimore's played terrible against teams that they need to beat. The Yankees are playing well against. I mean, listen, they've struggled with Boston all year. And it seems like in years prior, whenever the Yankees need to win, Boston loves to play spoiler for them. And then Boston comes into town and it's 3 out of 4 of them. Judge seems to wake up. I mean, you kind of like use Boston as this trajectory jumping off point. I don't think in any realm I saw Baltimore being up this many games, and them playing Detroit, not able to beat Detroit, is even better for the Yankees, because Detroit's playing for something. So Baltimore's still going up against teams that need wins and need to win games. You really lucked out if you're the Yankees here. Schedule-wise for Baltimore, and whether you're into it or not, the sports books tend to be right a lot of the time. The Yankees are now minus 800 favorites to win the American League East, which is nowhere close to where they were just about a month ago.
Yeah. They've really picked things up. As you said, the 3 out of 4 against Boston, considering how they started, they ended up winning the season series 7-6. And if the Yankees can do what we want them to do against Baltimore in that second to last series and somehow sweep them, they can win that season series after starting terribly against them. So things are looking up for the Yankees as they head out to the West Coast, which, in some instances is, why is it now? Why couldn't the second West Coast trip happen in August instead of right in the middle of this push that they're trying to make toward the playoff? The magic number for the playoffs is 3 right now. So, I mean, that's just a matter of time, because it also depends on other teams, what other teams do. So they can clinch a playoff spot. Well, they will this week. So again, for all the complaining,
I mean, they have a really solid chance right now of finishing with the top seed in the American League. There's a really good chance that for the first time in a really long time, the American League pennant would run through the Bronx, which is something that you've been fighting for all year. And again, with the slumps they've had, with the poor play they've had, with the different back and forths they've had all year, it feels insane to think that the Yankees could finish with the top record in the American League. And they're very close. Baltimore's got San Francisco coming up in the middle of this week, and then they play Detroit in Baltimore. But again, Detroit's still fighting for something. They're 4 games over 500. They're right there too. So you got teams that are fighting for things that are going up against Baltimore. Then Baltimore sees the Yankees and then the Twins. We'll see if the Twins something to play for. It looks like they actually will now because they've faltered off over the last couple months. I sit here and think it's so pertinent the Yankees win this division. I think it just means so much. You cannot get complacent. I really hate it if they get complacent and clinch a playoff spot and then start to give guys extra rest and sit Judge every other day and Soto. Go out there and win the division. You need these games to be at home.
I would hope that they would step on the gas and not do this whole nonsense. Like, oh, we made the playoffs. Okay, let's relax a bit. No, we meaning the fans want you to win the division. We would love for you to finish with the best record in the AL. So you guys get the bye. You guys can sit and watch other teams fight it out, and you can plan your rotation. Then people can get rest.
Yeah,
that's when people will get rest.
Yeah, no, you have to go out there and take advantage. Like the way it's situated too is it gives you time to set yourself up, set your rotation up. You're ahead of whatever team you're going to face, and I know we've seen the stats of late where wild card teams fare off better against divisional teams because divisional teams are sitting a little longer and they're not playing actively. You still, if you're given the choice, every team is taking the extra rest and a chance to set the rotation up. At the end of the day, your players have to be your best players. So your best players have to play like your best players. So going into this the playoff run, go out there, win the division, make sure every team has to go through the Bronx and be able to set up your first round, your ALDS rotation with Cole, Rodon, Heel, whatever you want to do. It looks like Stroman's going to move to the bullpen now. We've kind of sort of got on our answer. But that to me is what you have to do. I think what it looks like is happening, Stacey, is Clark Schmidt is going to be the 4th Yankee starter. And which is amazing where he's been all year. And the fact that he came out of the gate playing so well and then got hurt, comes back and has been unbelievable since he's been back. What a season for Clark Schmidt. And it's been a very underrated season for him. Right? I mean, no one's
because he was gone for 3 months.
But he didn't come into the year thinking, oh, Clark Schmidt could be this X factor piece for them. Nobody thought that. And then he comes in and he's just utterly dominant the entire season. It's been something unbelievably impressive to watch.
My thought with Schmidt was he had that first full season under his belt and he was picking things up. He was lasting longer in games because that was the big knock on him, that he couldn't get past a certain point. And I thought that since he had that full season under his belt, the next season would be a lot better for him. Was I expecting the 2.52 ERA when he got hurt? No. Was I happy with it?
Was.
Yes. Because he looked great. And when he got hurt, it was a big blow. Do you remember how people reacted to, if we had said in 2023 that Clark Schmidt was going to get injured in, was it May or June, and people were going to freak out about it? Would you have believed us? Probably not.
No, it's been unbelievably impressive. It really has. And he came back and he's pitched 3 games since he's been back now, and he's already earned seemingly. I mean, they haven't announced anything and they won't, but he's seemingly already earned the 4th rotation spot because the report came out that Stroman's going to the bullpen. You got to think Nestor at this point is going to the bullpen. To earn that spot, unbelievably great, and it looks like too, they have found themselves a closer, right? Of reliefs who they trust. They have found a role for Clay Holmes coming in as a middle relief, early innings kind of guy. It seems like they're in a weird way rounding into form at the exact right time, which is what you need. The one thing that they need to get going too, and you started to see signs of at the end of the Boston series, but you really want to see it going. You need Judge to start to hit one of his hot streaks right about now. And hopefully the end of that Boston series was a sign. He does hit really well in Seattle. They're going there. But let's hope to see that Judge can get one of his rolls, because when he gets on one of his rolls, it lasts for a month and a half.
Right.
So let's start to get on one of those now.
Yeah. So right now the Orioles are in the top wild card spot. They're followed by the Royals and Minnesota. Now, the Orioles play Minnesota in the last series of the season. after the Yankees play the Orioles. So it'll be interesting to see how the wild card shakes out between those three teams. But I think the Orioles are far enough ahead of the other two that they're going to have the top spot if it finishes this way and the Yankees don't totally fall apart. But right now, the Yankees are up 3 with 12 to go. So the Yankees could go 500 over these next 12 games, and Baltimore would have to go 9-3 in order to win the division. And with the way Baltimore has been playing lately, that might be impossible just because of the way they've been playing lately. The Yankees are 7-3 in their last 10. Again, for all the complaining that we do, that kind of snuck up on you, didn't it? Because you're thinking, oh, right. Yeah. Okay, sure. They won the Royals series. They won the Boston series. It makes sense that they're 7-3 in the last 10.
And you got to look at it too. You got Minnesota with the third wild card spot. Right behind them, 2.5 games back is Detroit.
Yeah,
and
they also
Detroit's
have something to play for.
That hurts Baltimore because Baltimore's only going to get a team that needs something. Right behind them is Seattle. Now that hurts the Yankees because Seattle's also 2.5 games back, and the Seattle's playing for something against the Yankees. But that Minnesota-Baltimore series might mean something. Baltimore can't sit their players because they'll still be chasing the Yankees, and Minnesota can't sit their players because they're chasing Baltimore and trying to solidify themselves into that wild card spot. So you get Minnesota to take 2 out of 3 in Baltimore. The Yankees are set up there too. They can go under 500. So it really is set up really well for the Yankees to take the American League East.
Yep, and hopefully they will. And as you said, the biggest hurdle for the Yankees before the series against the Orioles next week is the Seattle series. That's the one that scares me the most. We're going to preview it in segment 3, but all 3 pitchers are good. The one positive, no lefties, which we know is the Yankees, one of the Yankees' kryptonites. There's a couple of things that are the Yankees' kryptonite. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. Also, reply to the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday. If you would like your questions answered for Fan Mail Friday, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions. We text out rehab updates for players, roster changes, lineups, especially if they're funky, just because I like to see your reactions. It's funny to see your reactions. There's a 14-day free trial. So coming up next, we're going to look at World Series odds and the flaws of each contender.
PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections, and you can watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Want to play PrizePicks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code Locked On MLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code one word Locked On MLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Don't forget that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees.
Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. I would like to make or amend something that I said. Okay, I had my days all screwed up, and I made it seem as if the Yankees were playing on Monday night. And I put a note on YouTube, but I didn't put a note on the audio description. I realized it as I was rewatching the show, and I thought, oh, right. I don't know why I confused the days because I thought they were playing Monday. They weren't. They're obviously not playing Monday, but I just wanted to. Yes, sometimes I screw up. Okay, from time to time, I'm not perfect.
You got it off your chest?
Yes. Oh, and I also said Yankees instead of Red Sox at one point. I noticed that too, and I thought, really? But it was midnight. Okay, I was tired. It was a live stream. It was a long day, and I'm just saying.
Get over it.
Yeah. Deal with it.
All right, so Stacey, I think we should be at that time of year now where we can start looking at World Series odds and necessarily what flaws teams have going into the postseason. Because there's big storylines going in, and every team seems to have massive amounts of flaws. But the World Series odds are really what, shows you what teams have the best chances of winning the World Series or not. In my estimation, and I'll give you these teams that I think are the teams that are most likely, that really they're the only teams that have a legitimate chance of winning the World Series.
Mhm.
Now, I know you get the Arizonas that make the crazy runs and stuff, but to me, the teams that I think have the most realistic chances of winning the World Series: Dodgers, Phillies, Orioles, Yankees, Astros, and that's really where I cut the list off. I don't see the Guardians having a big chance. Brewers and Padres, not really. I don't see anyone below that. Maybe you think so. Any other teams you want to add in there? But that's really where I cut the list off.
I don't know. I feel like the Brewers could be one of those pesky teams that, I don't know. I feel like the Brewers and the Padres could cause trouble in the NL.
Yeah, but the Brewers have lost starting pitching over the years. That's a
True.
problem. Their bullpen pieces have gone down. They don't have Hader there anymore. So that's kind of, disrupted them a little bit. And again, these teams, I get it. The Brewers have been a good team this year. So I'm not going to necessarily, I'm not saying those teams have no chance of winning the World Series.
Right.
But when I look at the contenders right now, that this is who I'm coming up with. And I want to go over the World Series odds with you guys, because the World Series favorite currently is Los Angeles Dodgers at plus 300. The list that we put on the screen for you guys, the numbers are a little bit off. Not really too off, but that list is from a few weeks ago, and this is where we have these topic lines from, of like what are their biggest flaws going in. So I wanted to bring that up to you guys because it does show, and I know we do a lot of complaining on the show, and most Yankee fans do. It's fine. But every team has flaws. The Yankees are not the only team with flaws. So when you look at the entire list of what these teams are going through, it's really not that crazy to think the Yankees could actually, be one of the teams that comes out. Dodgers are plus 300 right now. Philadelphia Phillies are plus 450. Orioles are plus 750, plus 850. Astros are plus 750. Yankees are plus 500. The numbers are a little off. Also, this list is from later ago. This is now closer to the postseason. The closer to the playoffs, the different the list is, the numbers go. But the Dodgers, top-heavy lineup, and they can't stay healthy, which has been the truth all year. Their pitching staff's hurt, right? Their game one starter, Stacey, right now would be Jack Flaherty, who they traded for at the deadline. So their starting pitching has not been healthy, and their lineup is really good at the top, but no one down below in their lineup.
It feels like their starting pitching is never healthy, and they have to investigate something, because the Dodgers are always losing guys to surgery, sometimes multiple guys to surgery. Yeah. I don't know how they play as well as they do with so many starting pitchers going down. Tyler Glasnow's out for the rest of the season now because he has an elbow strain. Yep. It's crazy. I mean, he's had past issues. He was coming off Tommy John. Also, he had Tommy John a couple years ago, but it's just, there's something going on there. There's something going on there. It's odd.
The Phillies are at plus 450. They're the second best odds. And the list here says they've been an average team the last 3 months. And that's the truth. Look at their record. Look at how they've played against good teams. They've been unbelievably average the last 3 months. So
like
what is
the Yankees like the Yankees and the Orioles?
Like everybody else.
Yeah.
So what is there to believe? There's no team this year going in that's unbelievably dominant.
Right.
It doesn't exist. The Yankees have the third best odds, the best odds in the American League to win the World Series at plus 500. And it's got on here the Yankees' biggest flaw, which is very true. Very flawed team besides two guys.
Yeah.
And it's very true. You've got, now the Yankees, I think, have the benefit, though, because you have an elite ace starting pitcher. Their starting pitching is very strong, very healthy, and very strong at the right time. A lot of teams don't have that. So you're really getting the advantage there. But it's true. Their lineup is two guys. Two guys. And if Judge and Soto, we've said they need supplemental help around the rest of the lineup. But at the end of the day, what we've said to you guys all year remains true. If you don't get production from Judge and Soto, you're not winning. So you need to get that production from them in the postseason. Stacey, number 4 is Houston at plus 750. Houston, their complaint is they have bad place discipline. And I'll tell you this, their chase percentage and their walks is the highest in Major League Baseball. Their walks taken is the lowest in Major League Baseball.
Really?
Yes. So really not a good stat to have. They don't get on base a lot. They don't take a lot of walks. They hit the long ball. Mm-hmm. So, that for a guy like Carlos Rodon, who gives up a lot of home runs, not the best sign of a guy going up against, but still, you look at that, Astros are really struggling in places this year. It is a different Astros team than it's been. And they got off to a really slow start this year and they've heated up since to really catch the division. But Stacey, they have not been the same team as they've been in years past.
Yeah. And well, a big boost for them, a trade deadline acquisition, Yusei Kikuchi has been unbelievable for them.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big boost for them, and that scares me in a potential
little bit,
playoff matchup with him.
But the Yankees do historically hit Kikuchi though.
Every other start. Sometimes he shuts them down, and sometimes he doesn't. So we'll see how that works out. I just really hope the Yankees don't face them. I know that some people think that in order to
make the World Series feel legitimate,
they need to slay the dragon before they do something. But no, I can't. I'm too old for this. I can't handle another Houston playoff series.
I honestly, I don't care who they beat.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
If they win a World Series, they win a World Series. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
And then the last team is Baltimore, which we should go over, plus 850 currently on the market to win the World Series. Their biggest complaint, starting pitching and their bullpen are okay at best. And it's the truth. Baltimore's bullpen has been really struggling of late, and their starting pitching, other than Corbin Burns, has not been good this year. So, a lot of flaws for every team.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they did lose a few starting pitchers to injury.
True. But that is
season-ending
their
injury.
Problem,
yeah. So for them to be where they are is kind of impressive, given the main guys that they've lost this season. But it stands to reason why they're so mid. Because the Yankees and Baltimore have basically both been 500 since the end of June, which is why the Yankees only have a 3-game lead. But a 3-game lead, with the way those two have played, feels like a 6-game lead right now.
Oh, yeah. It's wild. I mean, I still think it comes down to that final series. You just got to take every game individually, game by game. This just goes to show you, though, the top 5 teams in World Series odds all have tremendous flaws. So whenever you think about the Yankees' flaws and how they struggle, you got to think of the other teams too.
Yep. Because all we've been saying for the past 2 months is how there's no clear, great team this season. There's no team that's going to finish with 100 wins. There's no team that's going to pull ahead of everyone by a lot. They're all just right there. Both leagues, national and American. It's kind of amazing to see. I don't know if it's because this is the second full season of them playing everyone and if that's changing things, but it's just very strange that out of all these teams, like, with the way the Phillies started, with the way the Yankees started, with the Dodgers and who they have, no one has really pulled ahead. It's kind of incredible to me.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you thought the Phillies all year were going to. Never were able to. So, I mean, it's going to be a real fun postseason. Very unpredictable postseason, I feel.
Yeah, it probably will be. As a Yankee fan, that's not a fun thing. But if there were a playoff month like last year when the Yankees weren't in it, and then you get to watch crazy games and crazy series like we saw last year, that was fun as an outsider. But when your team's in it, it's not that fun.
It's not as much.
Right. All right, coming up next, we will be previewing the series with Seattle, which starts tonight at 9:40.
Oh. You've heard us talk about it a lot. FanDuel, it's America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you today. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube or YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Now, since we're a baseball podcast, let's quickly talk about some Yankees numbers. To win the division, the Yankees are minus 800. Not a terrific investment on there. But to win the AL pennant, the Yankees are plus 200. And to win the World Series, plus 500. You got to get those bets in now before the postseason gets rolling on. You can even bet World Series matchups. So if the Yankees are going to play the Dodgers, you can take that. The Phillies, you can bet that as well. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to Locked On Yankees. Remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees.
I know someone else who was at the beach last night because she's crazy about Bruce as well. So I saw some pictures and videos. I was like, wow, that's a lot of people.
It was insane. Oh
Yeah.
my God. So Stacey, as we finish off this episode, we're gonna go over the Seattle series where every game is such a late start. So be prepared for a lot of live shows out of us. It's gonna be brutal. Hopefully my voice recovers by then. You can thank Bruce Springsteen for all of this. Tuesday, 9:40, which is later on tonight. So start your pots of coffee, get them up early. Luis Heel, 13-6 with a 3.18 ERA. He'll go up against Ryan Wu, who's 8-2 with a 2.38 ERA. Really impressive ERAs out of the Seattle pitching staff. And you don't realize that their pitching has been some of the best pitching in all of baseball this year.
Yeah, as I was putting this together, I was looking at all the numbers and thought, wow. But then you look at the Yankees and pretty close when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, the ERAs are a lot lower than you expected for the Yankees. Wednesday, another 9:40 start. You'll get Nestor going up. He's 9-10 with a 3.90 ERA. A lot better than it feels like for Nestor. He'll go up against Bryce Miller. He's 11-8 with a 3.12 ERA. Again, not a lot of runs that are expected to be scored in this series. Really good pitching matchups. Thursday, another 9:40 start. You get Clark Schmidt. He's 5-3 with a 2.41. Unbelievable how good he's been this year. He'll go against Logan Gilbert, who's 7-11 with a 3.24 ERA. Really goes to show how little batting average, how little records matter for pitchers.
Oh, yeah.
Because Seattle can't hit all year. And Logan Gilbert's 7-11 with a 3.24 ERA. Imagine what his record would be if he was with the Yankees all year with that ERA.
Yeah, that's I like now that win-loss, people are finally realizing that win-loss isn't necessarily on the pitcher most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's a lot of times, like I say it all the time, Jacob deGrom, that 1 year with the Mets, when he went, well, yeah, because I mean, it seemed like he would pitch 7 innings, 1 run, no runs, and then the bullpen would blow it for him. Like literally every time he was out.
I believe he had like 7 wins that year.
Yeah.
But he had like a 1.6 ERA. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. And it finally got through to the people who vote for things. Hey, maybe we shouldn't look at win-loss and we should just look at the ERA and all the other different numbers that actually count towards stuff. Yeah. So Logan Gilbert, a victim of his team and not his pitching, obviously. A 3.24 is a great ERA.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I mean, Seattle overall, this whole entire year, even what you saw they tried to do at the deadline, they just tried to upgrade offense every way they possibly could. They made a huge splash trade for Randy Arozarena. He's been terrible since getting there. They've really done everything possible. Haven't been able to pick it up. Are barely going to try and squeak into the playoffs. They're 77-73 right now, Stacey. They're 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. So they're chasing. Makes teams like Minnesota keep playing for something, and Baltimore can't keep losing. But I mean, still, with how good their pitching's been all year, they should be way better than they actually are.
Yeah, they had a really, really rough stretch. They were ahead of the Astros for a while there, and then the Astros overtook them. And it was like there was a really rough stretch for them. And again, it feels like every team that had a chance to be in the playoffs, who are in the playoffs, or who are on the cusp of being in the playoffs, all have these kinds of stretches throughout the season. It's just really, I keep saying it, it's crazy that so many teams went through such a nosedive. I mean, everyone, Yankees, Phillies, even the Orioles, Seattle, the Guardians had a bit of a slip there too, but they picked things up and they're first in their division. But it's just crazy.
No one's been consistent all year. And it's so weird because every year in sports, you see a couple of teams that are just dominant throughout the entire season. Nobody in the baseball season has been consistent throughout the entire year. It should give you hope if you're a team that roots for, if you're a fan or roots for a middling team. Because, I mean, out of any year, this is the chance they have. Any year. And I'm not going to lie, as a Yankee fan, out of any year, this is the year the Yankees should be able to do it. It really is. Yeah, exactly.
If you're not watching, I crossed my fingers.
Well, this is the least amount of excuses, right?
Yeah.
Like you went out and you got Juan Soto. Judge has another MVP year. Your payroll's $300 million. You're getting him with the best record in the American League, and the Astros have taken a step back.
Right.
This is the year.
Yeah. I'm just worried about one of those fringe teams that makes the wild card. Like you said last week, Kansas City is scary. I know the Yankees did fine in that series, but they're scary offensively and pitching. I wouldn't want to face them either. And I think most teams know that too in the AL. They're kind of like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Like you said earlier, can't believe it's the 17th of September. Where did the time go? This season.
It's insane.
Now that we're here, it feels like it flew by. While we were in the doldrums of the Yankees playing terribly, it felt like the longest season ever, which is how baseball works. Because for some reason, like you look at the season ahead and you think, wow, 162 games, 6 months, it's a really long time. And while you're in it, it's like, yeah, wow, okay, it's June. We still haven't. And then when September hits, it's like, where the hell did it go? How'd we get here already?
It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we're in the home stretch, and hopefully the Yankees will do okay against Seattle starting tonight. 9:40 start, which I was telling Brian before the show, I'm so glad teams don't do 10:10 starts anymore. That half hour, it's a big difference. It really is. Especially when you're staying up late on the East Coast, that half hour can make all the difference. So
brutal.
We will be going live after all these games.
Be ready.
Yeah. You are not going to be here Friday, right? I'm doing Fan Mail Friday by myself.
That's correct. While the Jets season is still exciting, I gotta make a game, you know?
So with that being said, since I'm doing Fan Mail Friday by myself, you guys can ask me whatever you want. Go crazy.
Go crazy, guys. Come on. Don't let me down.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Brian will be watching. So
I will.
Leave those questions down below on YouTube. And Insiders, I already sent you. Yeah. Insiders, I already sent you a message, and I will send you a reminder message to send me more questions for Fan Mail Friday. All right, one more time. You can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. Now go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day. The link to Locked On MLB is in the description, so you don't need to search. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And make sure you check out the Locked On Yankees postcast right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed, as well as streaming on the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.